Hey guys, it's Sweet Musings here. And whether you're an old returning player or not, have you ever been in a situation where you got gear that you thought was really good and spent lots of mesos and resources to upgrade it, but later had to throw it out because you found out there was something better? Have you ever asked around, what's the best gear set for me? What do I purchase or save up coins for? CRA? Tyrants? Absolab? Arcanes? How many of them? Which ones? And for which class? Could I even afford it? If you've asked any of these questions before, this is the perfect video for you. In this video, I'll explain how you can navigate through the myriad of item sets that have been released since the launch of MapleStory, so that you can choose the gear set that is most optimized for your character, class, and budget. Let's get started. If you're a new or returning player and your character is at least level 140, you've most likely come across Pencilier gear from monster drops around your level. The Pencilier set is best suited for newly starting out players because you get an additional 20% damage bonus against normal monsters when you have 6 Pencilier items equipped. New players just starting out won't have added benefits of the Legion system and link skills, so this set will help you train much easier. The distinguishing characteristic of the Pencilier set is that the items are always tradable, so you can transfer the set to your other characters with the storage and use the gear set to level up your link skills in Legion. The Pencilier set, though, is not very viable if you wish to access more of the mid to late game content. Now, before I move on to talk about some of the most popular gear sets people are using right now, I also want to point out something about the Emperor set. I don't recommend most people to go this route anymore because the CRA and Absolab sets are much better in terms of both the base stats of the items and the set effect. The Emperor set is also for level 140 and is better than the Pencilier set. However, because it's level 140, the weapons not only will lack base stats, but will also be missing some crucial stat bonuses that you won't want to miss out on. 10% ignore enemy defense and 30% boss damage. It's more cost efficient to invest your resources on upgrading at least a Fafnir weapon than an Empress weapon. With that being said, for the rest of this video, I'll be discussing 4 viable gear sets that will allow you to access the majority of the game content like the Arcane River maps. The first build on this list utilizes 3 equips from the Chaos Root Abyss set and 5 equips from the Absolab set. Our first gear set will include the hat, top, and bottom from the Chaos Root Abyss set, and the weapon, shoes, shoulder, gloves, and cape from the Absolab set. It'll be a decent investment, but definitely doable if you just put in some time and effort. Having this set will definitely set you apart from more of the newer player base. The reason why the 3 set CRA and 5 set Absolab is so good and viable is because this set optimizes the set bonuses from both Chaos Root Abyss set and the Absolab set. With both sets combined, we get an additional plus 50 stat, plus 2500 max HP and MP, plus 10% max HP and MP, plus 200 defense, a whopping 145 attack or magic attack, plus 10% ignore enemy defense, and plus 30% boss damage. Now that's a huge boost just from the set effect alone. The reason why the 3 CRA 5 Absolab set is most optimized in this case is because if we go with 4 CRA and 4 Absolab gears, we'd actually be missing out on an additional 20 attack or magic attack, and on top of that we'd be missing out on the added base stats from a level 160 weapon versus a level 150 weapon. This is especially the case with weapons that have a higher base attack or magic attack, such as two-handed weapons and staffs. We actually see this gap in attack or magic attack widen more after spell chasing and star forcing, because the number of attack or magic attack on weapons that gets added per star is determined by your current attack or magic attack on your weapon, with the star adding 1 more attack or magic attack for every 50 attack or magic attack that you have on the weapon. For example, let's say you currently have 197 attack on your weapon, and the next star will give you plus 5 attack. And if the enhancement is successful, then you'll end up with 202 attack. So the next star will give you plus 6 attack because you passed the benchmark of every 50 attack. So factoring all of these things together, the 3 CRA and 5 Absolab set is one of the most popular, cost-effective, and widely accessible gear sets to obtain. If you're on Reboot, I highly suggest that you join a guild who can take you on CRA and Lotus Damien carries to be able to obtain these gear sets faster. And now if Absolab gear is a bit difficult for you to obtain right away, you might be wondering if you can replace the Absolab gear with Tyrant gear. Tyrant gear can be good, but they don't have any set effects, and because they are superior items, each attempt at star forcing costs a lot of mesos. A 17 star 5 star Absolab gear would be equivalent to about 8 star Tyrant equips, and 20 star Absolab gear would be equivalent to about 10 star Tyrant equips, and 22 star Absolab gear would be equivalent to about 12 to 13 star Tyrant equips. It costs an average about 2.4 billion mesos to get an Absolab gear to 17 stars, versus an 8-star Tyrant equip would cost about 6.6 billion mesos on average. They both have similar probabilities to boom, and they both cost about the same to replace in terms of mesos, with the exception of the Tyrant cape being much cheaper than the Absolab capes. We already see a significant difference in meso cost for enhancements, and this gap becomes even bigger if we want a 22-star Absolab versus 12-star Tyrant equips. When we take advantage of the 5, 10, 15 Star Force event that gives 100% success rate when enhancing from 5 to 6 stars, 10 to 11 stars, and 15 to 16 stars, 22-star Absolab gear costs 34.2 billion mesos and 2.8 booms on average, versus 57.9 billion mesos and 9.8 booms on average to obtain a 12-star Tyrant equip. And the 5, 10, 15 event does not work on superior items, it does not apply to them, and the cost would be slightly cheaper with the 30% off Star Force discount event, but it still wouldn't change the average number of booms. Therefore, just based off numbers alone, it's much more cost efficient to continue upgrading your Absolab instead of Tyrants. Also, if you opt to use Absolab gear instead of Tyrants, because Absolab gear are level 160 equips versus Tyrants being level 150 equips, Absolab gear gain an extra 1% stat on their primary and secondary lines of potential. You might be able to get away with Tyrants if you can hunt some down for cheap on regular servers, but if you're on Reboot, it takes a very long time to farm up points to be able to purchase Tyrant belts, shoes, and gloves, especially the gloves. So it'll be very hard to replace if you were to boot them. But on the flip side, obtaining Absolab equips from the coin shop is much more feasible if you have a guild or bossing party to run Lotus and Damien every week. That's why I'll suggest avoiding spending your resources to upgrade your Tyrant gear. You can even use a 22-star superior engraved Golux belt in place of a 12-star Tyrant belt, and it'll be much cheaper and widely accessible to get. I won't be getting into accessories in this video, but for those who are curious, 15-star Tyrant belts are best in slot. However, they're incredibly difficult to obtain and only really available on normal servers. The next possible gear set is the 4-set CRA and 5-set Absolab. In this gear set, you would replace the Absolab weapon with the Fafnir weapon, thus losing out on the extra base attack and magic attack. But the Chaos Vellum helmet will count towards both the Absolab set and the CRA set, so you'll still keep the 5-set bonus from the Absolab set and gain an additional 30% boss damage, the 4th CRA set effect. So this is only possible because of the lucky item effect from the Chaos Vellum helmet. Other Chaos Root Abyss bosses also drop lucky item hats, but the Siva helm has one extra upgrade slot. I explained that 3 and 5 Absolab set is good for classes that use weapons with high base attack and magic attack. On the other hand, the 4 CRA and 5 Absolab set is useful for classes that use weapons with low base attack and magic attack, such as classes that use claws, knuckles, and etc. This is because there won't be as big of a gap in attack and magic attack between the Fafnir and Absolab weapon, since the base stat is already usually low. For example, when we take a look at the difference between a claw and a staff, there's a 17 attack difference for a claw versus 41 magic attack difference for a staff. A good general rule to follow would be if the Absolab weapon has a base attack lower than 130, then the 4 CRA 5 Absolab gear set would not be a bad option to take or consider. If the base attack is higher than 170, then go with the 3 CRA and 5 Absolab set. And if the weapon that your class uses falls in between 130 and 170 attack or magic attack, it's up to your personal preference to go for either of the 2 gear set options. The only downsides to this gear set option is that a Siva helm may not always be widely available in the auction house, and the Siva helm does not have potential to get very good flames. So to mitigate this, you can always choose to opt for the other CRA helmets if you're willing to sacrifice one upgrade slot. Now the third gear set, which is a step above from the previous, is a 1 Arcane, 2 CRA, 5 Absolab set. Now this is where things can start to get pretty expensive or time consuming to obtain if you're in Reboot. But if you want a nice flex piece, Arcane Umbra weapons are the best in slot weapons that currently exist, beside the Genesis weapon. And for a good reason. Their base stats are insanely high compared to the Fafnir and Absolab counterparts, and being a level 200 weapon means they can get even higher flames. In this case, you would replace the CRA hat with an Absolab hat to keep the 5-set Absolab effect. And the 5th Absorb set effect is better than the 3rd CRA set effect because of the additional percent boss damage. And last but definitely not least, the best in stock gear set is the 2 CRA 6 Arcane set. This gear set is for all the whales out there who are willing to buy pixels instead of a car, or maybe even a house. And also for the masochists who are willing to spend their whole lives to farm countless Arcane River droplets and Stone Origin droplets. The set effect alone looks so juicy, and each of the gears being level 200 have great base stats and massive potential to have great flames. Some people ask how they can know if they should switch over to 2 CRA and 6 Arcane set. If all your Absorb gear is 22 stars, it will only be slightly better than a 17 star 2 CRA 6 Arcane set. So for most people, it might be better to invest in Absorb gear because it's more widely available and definitely much cheaper. Arcane weapons and armors are extremely expensive even when they're clean or just really time consuming to obtain. But if you have the patience, the money, and determination to be at the top of the top, this gear set will give you the best stats to even take on the Black Mage. Well, I hope this video was informative about gear progression and how to choose gear that is most suited for you. If you would like to see more video guides, such as bossing tips regarding specific classes, which accessory items to use, how to navigate the Legion and Link skill systems, training guides, item enhancement guides, or even just gameplay videos, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to stay up to date. Thank you.